And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round 10 of the PSGL F5 Championship here once again in season 26. And we are here for the 10th round then. And hopefully, this is going to be another thriller. We had our ninth different winner in our ninth race this season, and we stay in Asia for another round, this time at the Shanghai International Circuit here in China. And once again, I am not alone. I am joined by my co-commentator Jake. Hello, and welcome.
Hello, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited for this race because F5 always delivers, and I think you must feel the same.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like a fast track parcel delivery. You know, it's always going to be on time and always going to deliver maximum happiness to you. We've got 15 drivers here tonight. We've got, as you said, 9 different winners in 9 races. The odds of it being 10 are getting quite slim, it has to be said. But you never know. There are some very talented drivers on this grid tonight who have yet to win, like Miku, Hausman, potentially, and Puma. So who knows? We may be in for some record-breaking stuff tonight.
Who knows? Yeah, and to be fair, we thought the streak would end the last 2 weekends in a row, but they just didn't. We had Nino winning the race in Vietnam basically out of nowhere, and then last week we had Ghosts finally getting his season underway, getting his season to kick off with his first win then in F5, and yeah, that was great to see, and he really deserved it. Gotta say, he had so many strong weekends where he just got very unlucky. He always was more or less on the pace. And obviously, the big talking point this week, the big talking point this weekend in general, is our previous championship leader, Rataka, who's been leading from nearly the start of the season, who has dropped down to second in the championship after last week, with Gavin now taking the lead, has left the league. So, what do you reckon? Is Gavin basically our secured champion already?
I think it's a little too soon
Ooh,
to say that. I
and
think
sorry to interrupt you, but Schultz has already spun it on his outlap, which is not a good start for him. But yeah, sorry, go on. He didn't hit the wall, luckily.
Yeah, it's very early days. We've still, of course, got tonight's race plus 4 more to go. Gavin himself has admitted this is not a track he particularly enjoys, so it will be interesting to see how he gets on this evening. We've got Miku in second, who hasn't won a race yet, but has just been super consistent throughout the season. It's getting to the point now where drivers behind those two are going to really need to string some results together, because those two are pulling clear in the championship now, and it's getting to that point now where you need to be in and around it. If nobody can get close to him in the next couple of races, it's looking like a two-way battle. But I'm sure Gavin will take nothing for granted, and based on his confidence levels here at China, he'll just be hoping to score some good points.
Well, Miku, a very unique character in this F5 grid. I mean, usually in F5, you don't really know what's going to happen as hitters diving into the pits already. Not even starting his first lap.
He has a qualifying ban for tonight's race.
Alright, I'm sorry, I didn't know about that. So he just wanted to get his setup on. But yeah, Miku, a very unique character, very unique driver on this grid. As he's not won a single race yet out of the 9 different winners. He's not one of them, but he's just shown so much consistency over these 9 rounds we have got so far. And yeah, that's what brings him up so high in the championship. And yeah, I think Miko's always someone you should look out for, even though he might not be on the pace of maybe the front runners, but he's just so consistent. He just makes the right choices, and Schultz does exactly the same like he did on his outlap and spins on the inside curb through the flat out left-hander in these cars. Gets out the way, luckily, of the Mercedes. And yeah, that's Lewis. And yeah, I'm just very surprised that we have got such a few amount of drivers that is so consistent, because obviously consistency is key in racing, and we haven't got that from many drivers this season. But one of them is definitely Miku.
Absolutely, I think as well. I think that's what's brought Gavin to the fore in recent races. Is he's really shown that consistency. He's got 2 second places in a row, and that's the sort of level of consistency you need. Even though he's not won a race in the last few, he's just been scoring really good points and just keep tallying them up. And I think that's what you need, especially in a league as unpredictable as this. And that's something that Miku's done all season long, even if, like you say, he hasn't had the outright pace at times. to challenge for wins. One thing I'm interested to see in this qualifying session is because we've seen a few drivers out on mediums. Of course, the soft tyre around here is, well, to all intents and purposes, I think practically useless as a race tyre. It's probably the fastest wearing tyre we have all season. What do you think that's going to do for the strategy this evening?
I think it's going to be an interesting factor. Well, like you mentioned, it's probably not lasting for all too long. You maybe have solid pace for the first like 2 to 3 laps, maybe, and then lap 4, 5, and 6. If you want to make that one-stop work, it's going to be a big struggle. It's going to be a big stretch. So what you want to do is maybe even qualify on the mediums. But obviously, on this game, we've only got one set of mediums and we haven't got a hard set, so we've got 3 sets of softs for most drivers if you've picked harder or balanced as your tire choice. And yeah, then you've just got your 3 sets of softs and 1 set of mediums, and that's not really good enough if you want to get 2 runs in, and it's really difficult to nail your medium time if you've only got one single shot. Usually you need at least 2 laps to get it completely right and completely nailed. So yeah, I think we'll see a lot of soft to hard runs in the race. But yeah, like you've said, softs are not really good on this track. They're quick, don't get me wrong, but they just don't last. And even if the safety car comes out with like 8 laps to go or something, I don't think you can make the softs work. So strategy might be a big factor today, especially taking care of your tyres.
Track grip seems at an all-time low at the moment, seeing a lot of mistakes. Jay Ghost invalidated his lap at the end of the second sector by running too wide. Kev nearly lost it in the pit lane. There's a lot of track grip does not seem to be at its optimum right now, and you can see that in the offset of the current lap times we've got at the top. I mean, Gavin in fourth on a 154, for instance, that clearly wasn't a lap that went according to plan. And a lot of drivers are currently on the medium tyres, so I wonder if that's a strategy they've already decided to go with. We've seen also a lot of invalidated laps, so it could suggest track limits could be a problem here tonight as well.
Yeah, I really think so, especially the last corner. And as Gavin sets his second lap then, and actually goes first and onto provisional pole with a 30.8. And I tell you what, Miku, we said he hasn't always been up there in terms of pace, but he was consistent. But even though he made a big mistake in the last corner and went wide, lost a lot of time to maybe not invalidate, he still did invalidate. But he came across the line with a 30.6 on his first run on the mediums. So that pace definitely looks very promising so far from Miku. His lap right now is invalidated once again. But I tell you what, Miku should be someone we should look out for after he has missed last week's race in Japan. I think he will want to fight back and yeah, get himself in a good position for the rest of this championship fight.
Definitely, and he might potentially have earmarked this race out as a good opportunity. Obviously, the whole grid's been shook up with Anusa Ratika's left. Slightly disappointing departure, I would say. I think, obviously the game isn't perfect, we all know that, but it seemed to be a reaction to losing a championship lead, and that's just not the mentality you need if you're going to be a champion. And this has allowed other drivers now to step in, and all of a sudden, even in the constructors as well, like Williams are now only 1 point behind Red Bull. Red Bull, from a picture of dominance, are all of a sudden looking very vulnerable.
Yeah, I think Williams have definitely shown, especially towards the second half of this championship so far, that they have got the pace, that they are both willing to get that Constructors title, and especially Gavin is willing to take that F5 championship this season. Obviously the lowest tier in PSGL where you are not allowed to have most of the assists on, but that won't take the credibility of that championship away because it's still such a challenging and good grid. We've got, I mean, such quick drivers around here, and especially with what has happened in the races so far this season, to win the championship in the end really proves that you have been very, very strong and have kept your head cool throughout the entire season. And yeah, right now it's looking like Gavin is going to be the man to beat in that championship. But who knows, F5 is always good for some surprises. And yeah, now it's the time where the championship could get turned round again as Schultz goes on to provisional pole 1.1 seconds quicker than second placed Gavin right now. But remember, he's on the soft compound, so that might give him a slight disadvantage as Lewis probably slightly got held up by Schultz there.
Well, Schultz saying in the chat he's going to win tonight, so you heard it here first. We are going to get a 10th different winner if that prediction comes true. It's a decent lap on the soft tyres, and Gelato was about to go quicker, but invalidated at the last corner, went slightly too wide over the curb, and that has ruined his lap. So it looked like he was about to take provisional pole, but it just shows that last corner is really going to, I think, irritate a few drivers, certainly by the end of his qualifying session.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Gelato would not be our 10th different winner. He already won in Zandvoort, where I sadly wasn't participating as a commentator, but you were there. And yeah, today if I remember correctly, Schultz has always been someone who's quite accurately predicted his races, I'd say. I mean, I remember Vietnam where he said, "Watch my start," and then he went up by 5 positions within 3 corners, and then gained another one on the rest of the lap. So we should maybe watch out for Schultz. I mean, he's a provisional pole now, and it's still F5, so who knows what's going to happen as Lewis is going to come across the line and is going to take that provisional pole for now with a 29.6.
Nice lap indeed from Lewis. Scholes has definitely nailed those race starts. It seems to be his consistency over the rest of a race, where perhaps he needs to find improvement. We've got Leon on a lap as well, but that's going to easily be an invalidation. He was about to go quickest himself, but way too wide out of the last corner. That wasn't even a question mark.
As Matt has spun round, which is not good to see. And a corner I want to talk to you about is the first corner of the third sector. I'm not really sure which number that is, but before the second snare corner, the left-hander where you go into the right-hander, then that's a very, very tricky corner in my opinion, because it's slightly, the elevation through that corner is quite sudden, I'd say. You go slightly uphill and it unsettles the car massively, and we've seen multiple times already in this quali session that the cars getting really unstable on the rear and really loose on the rear, and that might cost you some time and might even send you spinning.
And it's such an important corner as well, because it's essentially leading you into the right-hander, very long right-hander, straight onto the back straight. So if you can't get that previous corner right, it's not just going to affect you there, it's going to affect you all the way around the next corner and possibly the straight too. So certainly in a race, if you don't get that right, you're going to be a sitting duck down the back straight, which as we know is kind of a key overtaking spot around here, down towards the hairpin. So it's absolutely crucial that you get that right, and losing the car even slightly is going to really compromise you.
Speaking of losing the car, that is Cortez spinning round out of turn 6, that should be. And he accelerated on the curb on the outside and spins the car round, manages to keep the car out of the wall, but his lap time is gone. And there he goes. Miku, I told you. He went on to provisional pole earlier on, but invalidated. And now he did not and set a 29.3 right after Nino has left the session, which is really sad to see. Hopefully he will be able to join back. Currently sitting with not even a proper lap time, 6.2 seconds off the pace. And there he has joined back. But yeah, Miku, I think he's a really good call for a race winner today. And what kind of story would that be? I mean, 10 out of 10. That would just be incredible, and I think no other division has ever done that in PSGL. 10 different winners in 10 races. I don't want to jinx it, but I think Miku could be a good call today.
Definitely, he's definitely showed some excellent pace in the early part of his qualifying session. Just briefly as well, I was on board with Cortez, and he went past the Scholes, which was sideways, coming out the long right-hander, so I don't know what's happened to him there. He was only on his outlap, so pushing the limits, but we're already seeing a lot of drivers switching to the mediums from the softs, so there's clearly a bit of, I don't know, a bit of uncertainty in regards to what tyre they want to start on. I mean, you clearly see the soft tyre's got a massive advantage over one lap, but you're going to lose out then in the race. I think if you do start on mediums, the one stop is possible, but if you start on softs, it kind of pretty much backs you into a corner in regards to the two stop. So Miku's definitely looking really strong here tonight, and this could be a great opportunity for him. He's had 4 podiums, let's not forget, but he's just awaiting that, that big step onto the top step of the podium. Maybe tonight's the night for him.
Who knows? It could be, and yeah, China is a good track to do it. I think who was it who won his first race here? Wasn't it Red Bull with Mark Webber in 2009? think it was, wasn't it? Or Vettel in 2009 with Red Bull.
Yeah,
I think that was.
Vettel won here in 2009, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was Red Bull's first ever win. So maybe it could be Miku's first ever win in PSGL F5. But there comes Gio now around the final corner, sets a 131.6, which puts him into P6 for the moment. And gotta say, I like the way the chat is going. We had shows saying, gonna send some of my moves, I'm gonna win, like you've mentioned, and then I feel like Vettel, I'll know that. So seems like we're only entertaining Schultz so far this race, this quali session, I should rather say. But yeah, at least someone feels entertained.
Yeah, he might. When it comes to the race, I don't think we'll hear quite so much from him. At least I hope not, because I think that would suggest his race isn't going quite so well if he's in the chat during the race. We've got Matt out on a lap at the moment on the soft tyres. What's he up to at the moment? It's a competitive second sector. It's around sort of roughly the best we've seen. So could potentially challenge up towards the first few positions. It's been a strange qualifying session. We've only got 2.5 minutes left, and we've only really got 6 lap times, which you could consider representative.
Yeah, it's very odd. I think drivers are struggling with track limits, traction. We've seen quite a few spins, but maybe Matt will now be able to be our 7th driver who sets an actual lap this session, hopefully at least. Also, Ghosts, our previous week's race winner, has not set a lap so far, but he is on 1 right now, and Matt is going to finish his lap, and he's going to come across the line and take 2nd for now. So a really good job indeed. He will not be able to set another lap, I'm sure, because you really can't do 2 laps on the same set of softs. And let's see what Ghosts does then. He is currently, yes, he is still on his lap. He has not invalidated. He's quite a bit slower than Matt right now, but in the second sector. But remember, he is on the medium, so that might give him a strategic advantage over the other drivers as he comes around the final corner. Then does not invalidate. That is good to see. He comes across the line to go 6th fastest for the moment, and yeah, ahead of a few different medium runners, but not ahead of his teammate whatsoever. And he's on the same compound.
Lewis was slightly improving, but again is invalidated. It seems to be having a final corner. Oh, and Lewis then loses it after he validates, which is slightly odd. That long right-hander's causing some problems for the drivers as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, the exit of the final bit of the second sector as you go through that double left-hander just seems to be catching a few drivers out with track limits.
Yeah, I think generally the track is not that easy to drive. I think if you get into a rhythm, it's a nice flowing track, one of the better tracks from Tilke. And Gavin has retired, so Gavin won't improve on his lap as Ghosts loses the rear end. It's quite bumpy around this circuit, so that causes some issues as well. It's easy to spin, and Ghosts keeps his traction down. So, oh, no he doesn't, and out of the snail corner, he nearly spins round, keeps it out the wall, but is not gonna improve on his lap, so he's gonna stay 7th for this quali session at max. But maybe Gio can challenge him for that position as Gio comes around the final corner, sets a lap, but nope, he was not on a proper lap, it looks like, as time is about to run out. And let's see who else could possibly take that pole position away from Miku as Matt crosses the line and is not gonna set another lap. Let's see what Schultz does as he comes around the hairpin. 1 more corner to go and Lewis retires after his spin. Hausman retires. He is in P8. He got a podium previous week. And there goes Schultz then across the line. And he goes into 2nd place. So now it's the front row for the Ferrari driver, but it's not quite pole position. And we've got Gio spinning around, and then we've still got Puma yet to set another lap. Right behind him, that is Miku, who's currently our provisional pole sitter. But let's see, maybe, just maybe someone can challenge him. No, it's not going to be Puma. Nino hasn't validated, but let's see, is Miku just going to prove his pace today with another better lap than that? No, it's not quite going to be a bit better. It's 33 thousandths of a second off, but we have got Miku, our 2nd place driver in the championship. If we take out that 2nd place driver who was left by Rataka, he has taken pole. to fight back after missing last week's round, and that is a really, really strong start to the weekend.
Definitely. We have got one more driver who's about to complete a lap. It's Gelato on the medium tyre. Where's he going to put this? That's a great lap on the medium tyre. That's up to
Wow.
5th place. A 29.9. That's a cracking effort from him.
Great drive from him in quali at least, and if he can convert that into the race with his strategic advantage he'll get now from the start off, that could be a good chance for him. Obviously, we still got both Williams on the medium compound as well. And yeah, that we have it. Miku takes pole. I think that's the first time this season he's been on pole. And Schultz proves that he is actually quick this weekend once again and starts from the front row of the grid ahead of Matt, Lewis, and Gelato. Like you've mentioned, cracking effort there. P5 on mediums ahead of Kev, who's going to be on softs. Then we've got Gavin, Ghosts, Houseman, and Gio all on the medium tyre. Then we've got Puma in P11, Nino in P12. Then we've got Hida in P13, Cortez in P14, and Leon, who's going to start from 15th on the grid. Once again, Hida has had a quali ban, so he has purposely not set a lap. And yeah, I think we could see a very interesting race now, as some drivers have gone on to the soft, some drivers have gone on to medium. So what do you reckon? What could be the better strategy towards the end, towards the mid stages, towards the start of the race?
Well, a couple of interesting things to know there from that qualifying session, for me anyway, is that Miku, first of all, did 2 lap times that were good enough for pole position. I think that's a scary proposition for the race. The second thing is that, well, we thought this run's going to come to an end at some point, but the front row is 2 people that haven't won a race. So who knows? We might be continuing that run. And also, what I find interesting as well is despite Hida's qualifying ban, he's actually still in front of 2 people. So as a qualifying ban goes, that's not too bad at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I mean, he'll start from P13, right side of the grid, and yeah, you'll start on the outside if you've got odd numbers, and on the inside if you've got even numbers. But I think the outside might actually be a bit better then, because you can't be taken out that easily. You can be forced off wide, but I think the danger of spinning round because of hitting someone else's rear tire is quite a lot bigger than actually being forced out wide. And we've got a first car spinning in the background, and that is Matt already. Yeah, he has spun
That's.
round.
I thought I saw Haskell in the background. Yeah, just have a look there quickly at the tyres that everyone's choosing to start on tonight. So
Interesting.
outside the top 10, we've got a lot of drivers starting on hards outside the top 10, which is interesting to see. We've got Puma, Nino, Cortez, and Leon all starting on the hards. What I find surprising, though, is Hida's starting on softs. I don't understand that. I don't really know why you would start on softs here unless you had to.
I could see him actually not confirming his strategy changed. That might be a thing. Because in this game, obviously, if you change the strategy, you still have to select the strategy, which is a bit stupid, because why would you change it if you don't want to take the strategy? So, yeah, that might just be a bit unlucky for him. But like you've mentioned, everyone else outside the top 10 has decided to start on hards, so they can get long into the race, but it could be a bit of a danger as well if a safety car comes out at around lap, I don't know, 10 or something. Those mediums, I don't think they will last. I don't think they will last towards till the end of this race if you'll have to do 60 laps on them or 80.
It's going to be an interesting one to see. There's a few drivers I think are one stuck out for. Gelato, obviously, starting on mediums in 5th. He could be a very big threat roughly 4 or 5 laps into this race when the soft tyres start to go off. Puma as well, the hardest running hard compound tyre starter. You mentioned that Puma's been looking pretty quick, so he could also be one to look out for. And around here, starting outside the top 10, I don't think is as big of a disadvantage as it is at other tracks.
No, it is definitely possible to overtake, but you need to get that grip down the second Snell corner then. And yeah, it's going to be a big struggle to get the traction down if you are in the dirty air of another driver as the cars are lining up. Now we've got Leon in last in his AlphaTauri, who is about to line up on his grid slot. and then we are good to go for round 10 of this season here in PSGL F5. And yeah, I have got a good camera angle, and the lights are coming on now. And we are off here in Shanghai. It seems to be a solid start from Miku in P1, but Schultz has already gone alongside, and now they're going 3 wide into turn 1. No, they're not. And Schultz has got the inside line now through turns 1 and 2. Maybe 3 then as well for the outside. Then he's taken the lead already. Through turn 2 he goes, and he's into the lead. We've got Lewis having a great start as well. He's on the outside of Matt, but he has to give that position back for now, as he can't fight back. But maybe now down into turn 6. A heavy braking zone. The first heavy braking zone. Oh, he slightly outbrakes himself, but he can't get past Miku. He can stay ahead of Matt though, I think. We've got yellow flags in the back row, but no, Matt fights back. He's got the inside line, but he's going to have the outside line for the right hander now. So Lewis tries to hold it down the inside, and Matt goes slightly off the track, slightly off the line, I'm sorry. But now Lewis has outbraked himself, and now he's got the outside line once again, and Matt has defended successfully. But look at Kev. He is on his way to get past Lewis, but that's a very hectic start at the front, but they kept it clean at least.
Incredible action there between Matt and Lewis, and fair play to them there. Great racing between the pair of them. Gio and Puma, I think, have had a few half spins towards the back. He doesn't like either of them's got damage. You can see Scholes already trying to prevent the toe down the main back straight, and it was a great start for Scholes. Not entirely surprising though. We've seen him do that so many times this season.
Yeah, Schultz is really probably one of the best starters on the grid. Matt makes a huge mistake out of the hairpin, loses the rear end and loses 2 positions with that, and that might completely destroy his rhythm. We see many drivers going off in the last corner, picking up warnings probably, and there goes Matt, maybe now, maybe back past Kev. No, he doesn't, but now the timing is glitched, which is a bit annoying. Drivers are ghosting who should not be ghosting. But yeah, let's see if Schultz can actually maintain that lead from Miku from now on. We are on lap 3, the game says, but we are actually not. We are on lap 2. Everything is fine, hopefully, and I hope the timing screens will be back to life shortly as we've got our predicted pit stop strategy. I don't think we'll see 2 stops yet. Lap 7 to 8. Switch to the hard compound. That could be a good call actually from the game, but look at Miku. He does not want to give any breathing space for Schultz. He doesn't let him breathe at all. He's really close to him, still 4 tenths behind, but the DRS is not activated yet. But maybe on the next lap he will try and get that lead back.
Miku, we know, he already knows he's got absolutely excellent pace around here, so he won't be too concerned at the moment. He knows he's got Scholes well within his grasps, and he's kind of dropping Lewis a little bit behind him. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one develops. We've got Gelato, who is right up behind Matt. Of course, Gelato starting on the medium tyre, so it's going to be interesting to see how that develops for him. It's not been a bad start for him, really, considering, you know, usually you would say the mediums do tend to give you a slightly worse start than the softs would. But yeah, pretty good for Gelato, and if he can just stay within this groove on those mediums, he could be a much bigger threat later on.
He definitely could. I mean, Gelato has done a good effort to get into that position through quali, and yeah, Kev is looking quite strong so far as well. 9 tenths behind Lewis at the moment, and he's moved up quite a few positions, but he needs to stay within that 1 second DRS window. Otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult to defend from Matt behind him, who seems to be quite quick as well, even though he's spun on the formation lap and has dropped down to 5th from now on. But also Lewis is someone we should watch out for. But remember, he really does tend to make mistakes and bottle it.
Yeah, and that's going to be something he absolutely cannot afford to do. It's absolutely vital for him, but he keeps hold of where he is. So that's going to be another thing to keep our eyes open for. Always, I thought for a brief second there that Gelato was about to go incredibly too deep into the corner, but he got away with it.
Yeah, we've seen many lockups into that corner. Let's see if Miku will be able to challenge Schultz for the race lead once again. But it seems like he's just that little bit too far away. So let's see what Gelato actually does. He's a bit too far away from Matt as well. Ooh, as we see Hitter nearly hits the rear end of Gelato. Maybe has actually slightly touched it. And Hitter, what a great start from P13 up to P7 now. And he's quite close to Gelato as well, who's on a slow compound. But he needs to make that first stint work as well. But he is closed up to those other soft runners who've started on the same compound as him.
Yeah, absolutely massive for him, and hopefully for his sake he keeps it in a pretty good space at the moment. You can see the difference between the two drivers. It's getting pretty close between them. And what can some of these drivers do? Got plenty of difference between them at the moment.
In moments like this, I would love to have a team radio feature where you can hear what the driver says, because I'm very curious to see what some of these drivers might have in mind in terms of strategy now, as just Gio crashes out and retires. Might trigger something here, and yes, it triggers a virtual safety car, so that prevents Miku from getting past Schultz on this lap at least. But it might open up an opportunity on the restart. If you nail it, you might be able to challenge the car in front, but that's a big maybe. But the risk of getting a drive-through is quite high as well. If you just don't watch out for a second when the safety car ends, when the VSC ends, and yeah, just go 1/10 too quickly, 1/10 above the delta, and then suddenly you've got a drive-through. So that is, yeah, big risk now. So the drivers need to be careful, but also can't afford to lose too much time.
Definitely not, and it's absolutely crucial to get that balance in that right. You absolutely cannot afford to get
and Schultz into the pits. That's a very early stop. That's a very, very early stop. Lap 4, and he decides to make his probably one and only stop if he switches onto hards. But no, he does not. He takes a strategic gamble, and that could be a big factor in this race. He fits the medium compound to do a 2-stop at least, so he's probably going to go for a soft medium strategy. He thinks those soft won't be quick enough towards the end of that stint. He thinks the hards will be too bad for wear at the end of this race, won't deliver the pace he needs to win this race, so he decides to go for an alternate strategy, and that really could spice things up here.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely crucial to see how this develops as the race goes on. It's all well and good having the best strategy for now, but you've also got to think far ahead. There's no good being on the better tire now if it in 6-7 laps time you're on the wrong strategy completely. So it's thinking in two minds about the now game, but also about the game come the end of a race.
And I think the mediums might start to work a bit better than the softs now. I mean, we are on lap 4. The tyres are wearing out so quickly on this track. And now Gelato seems to be really close to Matt and is about to make an overtake work on the Haas driver, I think. He is not in overtake ERS mode. If he would be, I think he would have easily gone past the Haas driver. But he does not want to just yet. And also a quick fact to mention is that Lewis has closed up massively on Miku, and also the second Ferrari now pits, and that is Kev.
I know the mediums, the softs don't tend to last too long around here, but I would still say that's a bit on the early side.
Also, he goes onto the mediums.
Yeah,
so
that's
might
definitely
be a Ferrari strategy.
Yeah, that's undoubtedly got to be a 2-stop then. That can't be a 1-stop strategy he's going for. And that's going to put him potentially... He'll have great pace, but he's going to have to work some now to make up that time lost in the pits.
Well, you've got quite a few overtaking spots on this track. Turn 1 is an opportunity. Turn 6, I remember Sebastian Vettel making a move around the outside of Danny Ricciardo in 2017. I remember Danny Ricciardo going for that incredible dive on Valtteri Bottas for the race win in the end. And obviously the hairpin at the end of that very long straight. So I think you are not really lacking overtaking opportunities on this track, but still you have to make those work and you have to get past. And you know, I don't think that Schultz will have that problem all too much, because he's going to be on the mediums, and his mediums are going to be quicker than anyone around him, except from the guys who are on the same compound. But for now, we can see Gelato is making his move finally on Matt and gets past. Into P3 he goes then for the moment. And in the background, we've had Puma spinning round out of the snail corner. And Houseman has already gone past Gavin as well. And our championship leader has made a huge error and lost a whole lot of his front wing. And will now definitely have to pit Miku pits, our current race leader. That we've got Matt in the pits as well. But Gavin has made a huge mistake. And that won't help him in his championship fight. But it will help him that Miku has just been slightly held up by Matt there.
Not what he needs at all. It just was little mistakes sometimes that you can look back on and think that's when a championship has been won and lost. It will, it's not a crucial blow potentially, but it's definitely not what he needed. We've got Matt in the pits, we've got Gavin in the pits too. So it's going to be interesting how their races develop from here. They're going on to the hard tyres, and I think that does open up their strategy options going forward, especially if there's a safety car.
And look at the gap between Schultz and Miku. Look at that. It's over 5.5 seconds just within those, I don't know, what was that? 2 laps? I think 2 laps of racing on a different tyre compound on one softs and fresh mediums. And Miku has nearly come out behind Kev. So Kev is effectively in P3 right now. His strategy call has put him up to P3. And now we have to keep in mind that if Schultz is in clean air, his tyres are going to be faster than those hards. And if he can get a good gap, and it's not going to be too far back when he makes his second stop, he might be able to catch back up to Miku, who's going to be on worn hards at the end of this race.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this develops, but that's absolutely a great point for Hidda's sake. It's worked out quite brilliantly. He's really made his way through the field. Save that he started near the back. He's right up there now. He's coming in now for his first pit stop. But I would say in terms of track position, that's worked out quite brilliantly for the Haas driver and put him right back in contention where it perhaps looked like his choice of tyre might put him out of it.
Yes, he has slightly been held up by an unsafe release from Lewis there. Let's see where Lewis comes out in comparison to Miku. He's going to be quite a bit behind him. And look at that, Kev has gone past Miku. I didn't see that because I was looking at the pit stops, and Kev, crucially, has gone past Miku, and that's probably going to help his teammate because the gap is already up to nearly, it is up to 6 seconds now. So once again, another half a second lost by Miku on that one lap. So that strategy that Schultz and Kev are going for now might actually work out, because remember, the hards won't feel great towards the end of this race either. And if the pace on the medium stays very consistent and they don't have to, extend the stint for too long, he might be the one to beat with that 2 sets of mediums.
Kev could be really the cork in a bottle here as well for Schultz. If he can, the more he can hold up Miku, the better it is for his teammate. So right now, Schultz is looking in a fine position, and his teammate can make it even finer the more he just goes about his business and holds up a Renault behind him, who in fact, if anything, if he's not careful, might come under pressure from Lewis soon as well.
So it seems like, remember, Schultz would be our 10th different winner as well, but someone and Miku nearly hitting the rear of that Ferrari right in front of him, so he seems to be struggling a little bit on those hard tires. I'm sorry, and I think we both did not quite think about Schultz to be our 10th different winner.
I mean, we've known Schultz, certainly in qualifying anyway, he seems to have something about him that helps in game positions, but I mean, his qualifying today was so good, he only needed to get past Miku at the start, and once he's done that, he's just looked very comfortable and controlled out front, which I have to say is slightly unlike some of his more other performances where he maybe has made a few little mistakes here and there, but right now I can't fault him what he's doing. He's doing a great job, and he predicted it, so who knows, maybe he was spot on all along.
Yeah, once again gained some time on his closest rival, and that is really good to see for him. Remember, Puma behind him is on hard, so he could hold up Miku as well. And yeah, like you've mentioned, Miku might come under pressure from Lewis in a couple of laps time, because Lewis is definitely gaining, and it seems like the set of hard tires is not really suiting Miku. But all he needs to do is get some good points today to use that bad race that Gavin has got right now. He's last with 8.5 seconds to the next car in front, and remember, he had that front wing damage.
It's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out. Obviously, we now technically got two different sets of drivers doing two very
Oh,
different things. Some
and
drivers
look
who
at
have yet to
Ghosts.
stop, and
He's the
Ghost is in
first
the
one to pit
pits.
on who started on the mediums. So a very early stop, I'd say, considering he started on the mediums. So yeah, Schultz once again overtakes another car who was in the pits. Ghost is going to come out quite far behind those guys.
And
And
we're looking to get
yeah,
those hard tyres to the end now, so a one-stop strategy essentially, and you can start to see now why a lot of drivers avoided the soft tyres in qualifying, because well, you can see already we're 10 laps in and not a single driver's on them now. The soft tyre as a race tyre is really useless around here.
it definitely is the soft. I mean, Miko did 2 more laps than Schultz did on the softs, and Schultz pitted onto mediums and essentially gained around 5 seconds on his rival, which is just a lot of time that he lost, especially within a span of 2 laps. That's a world in Formula One as Cortez locks up. That was a good camera angle to see that. And yeah, look at that little 3-car train that we've got as well in P2, P3, and P4 with Houseman, Nino, and Leon. And remember, Leon has started from last place, and we've got our previous week's podium finisher, Houseman, who basically came out of nowhere with an odd strategy. So maybe he's got a master plan in mind suddenly as well.
Well, the more he holds up these, I won't say holds up, but holds off these drivers on the hard tyres at the moment, the better it is for him. Although, having said that, here comes Nino down the inside of Houseman into turn one, so commentators curse right on cue there, as Nino goes straight up the inside of a Red Bull and takes P2. But I was just going to say, the more he can hold off these drivers behind him on the hard tyre, because of course he's getting to that stage now where his medium tyres will start to feel a little bit past their best. So, you know, he's doing a pretty solid job at the moment, and it's working out quite well for Gelato as well, who's kind of got away from that small train of cars, and because of it now, he can run his own race and not have to worry about what's going on around him. So, of course, we'll see how his strategy pans out, but Gelato at the moment not in too bad shape either.
Yeah, I mean, this race is really not over by any means. I mean, we still got a net lead of Miku when everyone makes their final pit stops, as Leon loses the rear end quite massively through the double left-hander there. But yeah, clean move from Nino there into turn one proves or shows how you should overtake through that corner. Very committed, down the inside he goes, very easy move. On the hard tyres on Houseman, who is on the mediums. So the mediums might be a bit worse for wear now as well. Hitters spins round, so that is him probably out of contention for the points today. That's not good to see. Gavin's not last anymore. At least something good he can take from this race. But yeah, ultimately, that just is a bit part of consistency as Houseman dives into the pits for his one and only stop then. And yeah, that's just the consistency you need, even if you're not feeling comfortable around a track. Like Gavin said, he just doesn't like the track, but still, you need to use that damage limitation you can get, and that is just so crucial for him. And Houseman fits the hard tyre like we've expected.
Miku and Lewis go side by side through turn one, and it looks like Lewis has got the place. And I have to say as well, there was a swap just in front of him as well as Kev got past Puma, and I have to say, the job, I don't know if it's purposeful, the job he's doing for his teammate at the moment, but Kev is doing an absolutely excellent job for the Ferrari team, and the longer he can hold these cars up behind him, the more it helps his teammate Scholes further down the line.
Yeah, remember Lewis now has taken the effective lead when everyone makes their pit stops, and obviously he does not want to let Schultz go and get a gap big enough so he can catch back up on his last stint on the mediums. So he will want to get past Puma as quickly as possible, probably on this lap then. And he does not want to let Kev go either, because Kev is on the same strategy as his teammate, and Kev is around 5.7 seconds behind his teammate, and Schultz is just doing what he needs to do right now, and is doing that pretty well. He needs to get past Cortez now as quickly as possible, as Cortez is on a used set of hards. And just a quick reminder that all those guys up ahead of Schultz need to make the same amount of pit stops as Schultz himself. apart from Gelato, who's just went into the pits for his one and only stop.
Got some great action here as well, for currently battling for P6, but it's swapping all the time. Miku, Lewis and Puma really going at it behind the Ferrari of Kev, as we've got another pit stop. That's Gelato making his only stop of the race from mediums onto hards, and he'll rejoin in ninth, and that's going pretty well for him at the moment. He can take those mediums, or hards rather, to the end of a race, and that should be in a pretty good spot there for him, as long as he can keep things neat and tidy. The only negative I'd say for him is he's just about to come up to this battling train of cars, which could be a little bit dangerous for him, depending how involved he wants to get in the battle.
Yeah, I think something we should really note is that look at Nino and Leon. Both on the hards, both will fit the medium tyre towards the end of this race. This is still their first set of tyres. And their gap to the effective race leader now when everyone makes their pit stop, Lewis in P6, is about 14 seconds. And the pit stop delta is around 19, I think. So as soon as those guys make their first pit stop, they'll be on the best tyres on the entire field at that point. So both of them, Nino and Leon, might be two people to still watch out for, as Lewis makes a crucial move on Kev and gets past him even before the hairpin comes and moves up into P5. Cortez gets overtaken by Schultz because Cortez dives into the pits, so he will fit the mediums now. That is quite a long way to go, I'd say. 15 laps on mediums. That's quite a stretch, I'd say.
Yeah, he probably preferably would have wanted to maybe leave another lap or two, so it'd be interesting to see how those medium tyres are in the last couple of laps in the race. He's going to, of course, rejoin towards the back of the field, but of course other drivers will have to stop again further up the field, so just see how that plays out for him. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't leave that pit stop a few more laps.
Now we've got half the race done now when we cross the line, and then it's still another 14 laps to go for us, and everything is still up to play for. That train of cars right there is essentially the fight for the lead when I think about it. We've got Miku in there, we've got Lewis in there, we've got Gelato in there, and we've got Matt a bit further behind, and all of them are able to go till the end of this race on their tyres. So yeah, I'm not sure what is going to happen in this race, but right now it's looking like it could be a very, very interesting one just from pure strategy.
Absolutely, we're going to see a lot of changes between now and the end of the race. I am getting some lag on my screen. I hope that's not coming across. I don't know if that's on my end. It could very well be. Yeah, at the moment, Nino and Leon are still looking in good shape. As you say, they've only got one more stop to make, and that's going to be interesting how that plays out for them. I'd say that's a very productive hard tyre stint for them, really, all things considered, and they can sort of drive at their own pace at the moment. They've got a comfortable lead, a comfortable gap between each other, and then a comfortable gap back to Scholes. So if they can keep up that consistent pace, there's no reason they can't be near the front either.
And I am not sure, but look at the weather. Obviously we don't know about rain, but it's looking quite overcast, so might we see some rain here as well? That would totally spice things up. But yeah, like you've mentioned, Nino and Leon are able to go their own pace. Leon is far enough away to not get any dirty air from Nino up ahead, and both are able to just do their own race, just set their laps, try and put in good lap times, save their tyres a little bit, and then go in, fit the mediums and go full attack mode for the last, I don't know, 13, 12 laps around there. And that is Miku probably looking for a move down the inside on Kev to finally get past, but no, he's coming under pressure from Gelato now, who's on much fresher hards than him. So Miku seems to be struggling, and it seems like his race win might be falling away from him right now as he tries to get past Kev now, who's obviously trying to help his teammate probably. But there goes Miku then, past him. Gelato, can he make the move as well? Gelato, there he goes, round the outside. That could be a really nice move if he gets the traction down, and yes he does. Nice move indeed from the AlphaTauri driver, round the outside through the hairpin. That's not too easy to make. Gets the traction down, and past the Ferrari he goes.
He'll have seen just how quickly Lewis has already started to gap not Scholl, sorry, Kev in front of him. So he'll have wanted to follow Lewis through there, and he definitely needed to make that move. Did Miku? Things haven't gone exactly as he would have hoped, but there's still some very good points on offer here for him. But as you mentioned, Gelato's going to be seriously quick behind him, and it could be a very, very good result here for Gelato the way it's developing.
I gotta say, this is a very atypical race for F5. Usually we've got like lots of similar strategies, just everyone on the same strategy, basically just going for it flat out. But now we've got so many different strategies. I mean, there's barely people who are on the same lap of tyres, except from P1 and P2, who have both started on that compound. But then we've got 7 laps, I see 5 laps, I see 8 laps twice. 3 times actually, then 3 laps. That's very interesting, not gonna lie. And then we've got 9 laps on mediums, 10 laps on mediums, 1 lap on mediums, and 0 laps on mediums. So yeah, so many different strategies actually. As Gelato is about to put up a move, no he's not, and Nino makes his one and only stop, crucially does not speed into the pit lane. It seems like there's no rain on its way, otherwise both of those guys would not come into the pits now, as Leon is also in the pits, and Lewis takes the race lead. He can go to the end, remember, so that is his actual position now. Nino comes out of the pit lane, and where does he come out? Does he stay in front of Ghost, or does Ghost go for a move around the outside? That was also close to the front wing of Nino, but that was crucial for Ghosts to be ahead, and that was so unlucky for Nino. He needed to be ahead. He needed that clean air ahead of him, but maybe he'll go for a move now. Yes, he is in overtake mode. He searches for the inside. He goes down the inside. A very late move, but fully committed. No contact made, and that was brilliant from Nino, and that was crucial to get past as soon as possible, and he did it. Daniel Ricciardo. Ghost tried to cover the inside line there, but could not quite cover it completely. And then Nino saw that little tiny gap on the inside and went for it. What a man.
Did he send it, or did he send it? That was absolutely superb. There was no hesitation from there. He knew straight away what he wanted to do. Straight in overtake, down the inside. Nothing was going to stop him getting that position. They was tried to sort of squeeze him, but it was too late at that point. He'd already got the inside line. He got the braking spot on, and look at the amount of trouble Ghost is having. That's a few moments I've already seen him have on the curb since then. So Nino there already pulling away from Ghost, and that was an absolutely fantastic move, and not just that, it was a really crucial one as well.
Yeah, and Leon has made quite a crucial move as well. He gets past Hausman, suddenly breaks himself. But yeah, now that as well Kev is in the pits, makes his final stop. Schultz was in the pit lane. He is down in 11th, so he'll have a lot of catching up to do. And Nino now in a great position. And now, like Christian Horner would say, it's time to pull your pants down and see what you got. Everyone's going to be going flat out now, who's just come into the pit lane on their medium tyres. Just go flat out to the end of this race. Show everyone what you've got in your car, what you've got in your home setup in terms of pace on this game, on this track, and try and win this one. And Nino seems to be a big candidate to win this race, but now he needs to catch up 3.5 seconds to Matt, then it's another 2.5 seconds, and then he is in that train for the race win.
Yeah, and I mean, potentially as well, Gelato's in a good position as well. He should be able to go to the end on those hard tyres that he's on. He's made a one stop already, of course, and he's in a pretty good position as well. Nino, of course, will have fresher tyres, faster tyres, but it's going to be interesting. I think Gelato and Nino are starting to develop as the two main contenders here. We've got Leon in there as well, and well, Lewis's strategy will be interesting as well. He could get to the end on those hard tyres most probably, but I doubt they'll be very quick come the end.
Yeah, very much agreed. And yeah, it's so interesting now. We've got 10 laps to go and we have no idea who's going to win this race, and that's actually something that is not all too rare. Schultz makes a quick move on Cortez. Down the inside he goes, it seemed like, and up into P8. And he as well is only 1.5 seconds of Leon. And Leon is around, I don't know, I think 5 seconds behind Nino. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Schultz obviously trying to close down that gap now. They're on the same age of tyres, and all of them are pushing flat out to the end. So let's see what they got. Matt also in P4 right now, doing a very good job indeed. Nino is catching up though, 2.1 seconds now. The gap is coming down 2.0, and it's going to go down to 1.9 on this lap, probably through these corners now. And yes, it is now below 2 seconds behind Matt, and Gelato has just broken into that 1 second window of Lewis.
Yeah, we're going to see some change for position here, and it's going to be very interesting now. The trick for Nino here is going to be making his way through this pack as quickly and as drama-free as possible, because he just needs to keep on it now. He's on the better tyres, he's on the fresher tyres.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this could be a change of the lead. Yes, Lewis does not really defend, and on lap 19, Gelato takes the lead of this race and is now in the best position to take his second race win of the season and become the first two-time winner of this season. And he has done a great job so far in terms of strategy. He has done a great job in quali, and on 6 lap out hards, he has now taken the race lead from Lewis.
Great stuff from Gelato. Just that lap he did in qualifying on the medium tyre has absolutely played him into contention here. He did a fantastic job, and that's really set him up for the race as well. And right now, I've got to be honest, although Nino's a big threat as well, I have to say I think Gelato's a favourite to win this race and become potentially our first two-time winner of the season.
Yeah, Nino is willing to change that, so he becomes the first two-time winner of the season. Miko's still waiting behind. I don't know what it looks like in terms of time penalties, but we'll see at the end of this race. Leon is crucially not able to go past Ghost just yet. Maybe down the inside through the quick left-hander. No, that's a risky move to try. If you're not fully alongside, you're not going to get that spot. And we can see Leon is quite low in ERS, if I'm honest. So Leon seems to not be too confident in terms of overtakes just yet. At least not as much as Nino is. But speaking of that, down the inside he goes. Ghosts just braked a bit early. Cheeky little move there from the Williams driver to get that DRS and to be able to fight back now on this long back straight. And I'm pretty sure that is going to happen. Nino, meanwhile, goes up into P4 past Matt and does what he needs to do. But sadly, Ghost's plan to get that DRS for the back straight and to get back past Leon has not worked out, and he's going to stay behind for him. Got to stay behind him for now as he loses the rear end. It gives Schultz a good opportunity on the main straight now to maybe get past as well, as Schultz picks up a penalty that could be crucial towards the end of this race, but we'll have to wait and see. And Schultz is trying to look for a gap, but he can't find one and has to stay behind for just another couple of corners.
Sneak up the inside. That's an incredible attempt at an overtake. He just saw the gap there and went for it. It's still alongside each other though, and Ghost is desperately trying to hang on to that 7th spot. He pushes Souls as much as he can, really. Gives him a car's width for going down to a spot where we saw Nino pull for a great overtake. Scholes is out broken for Williams, but he's then going to come back at him. They're still alongside each other, going to this long left-hander, and eventually Ghost has to slot him behind Scholes. I have to say there, Scholes made that into a fantastic overtake. It looked like he'd lost the place, but he found a way to regain it, and what incredible racing that was between them.
Yeah, that's what we love to see. Great racing between the two. A lot of respect. They give each other the room they need. And that's what we want to see. That's what we need to see to have good action in this race. And that was a perfect example for it. And look at Nino. Only 1.4 seconds behind Miku now. Who looked to be so in contention for the race victory. But now it seems so far away from him. Even though he's in P3. Just looks very unlikely that he's going to be the one on the top step. But someone who's not unlikely to be on the top step is Nino. I mean, look at the gap between him and P1. It's only 4.7. He's got a lot fresher tyres, 4 laps to be exact, and a lot quicker tyres. The mediums are just so much quicker than the hards, and Gelato's not really able to pull away from Lewis for the moment. Lewis still within half a second of the car in front, has gone up to 7/10 now, but still, it seems like Gelato is not having an easy time to get away from that Mercedes behind him, even though he'd need that gap.
Yeah, Lewis is using a little bit more ERS to stick with Gelato at the moment. I think Lewis knows how absolutely crucial it is for him to stay within that 1 second window. Maybe not so much just to attack Gelato, but that of course will not be out of his thinking. But he'll potentially see Nino as well on the medium tyres approaching, and he'll know that every little bit of time he can save by being in Gelato's DRS could help him secure second by the end of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be crucial now for Nino to get past Miku as quickly as possible. He's got 5 laps to do it, to get that race win when he crosses the line. He's going to have the DRS now, I think. He has used quite a lot of his overtake to get that DRS on this lap, but that definitely will help him now to close up on this straight, to maybe, just maybe, go for a move at some point on the next lap. But he is just that little bit too far away, I think, to make a move.
Scholes goes for a dive down the inside of Leon for P6. He used all of his overtake that he had left, but he hasn't made the move stick. He really sent it there down the inside, but Leon almost saw it coming and fended him off. He's going to have another potential chance into turn 1 again. He's in overtake, so that's clearly his intention. Leon defends the inside. He got very close there between the pair of them. Leon giving as much space as he possibly can, but without just about giving him his car's width, I should say. And Scholes has almost forced Leon off the track. They're still alongside each other. This is incredible stuff between the pair of them. What can Scholes do into the next corner? He's got the inside line, which will help him. He should be able to outbrake Leon, but Leon's determined not to give the place up. But eventually Scholes makes the move stick, and I have to say, he is doing some quite eye-catching overtaking this evening, Scholes.
Oh, that is what we love to see. That's why we're here. That's why we're racing for exactly that kind of stuff. That was brilliant from both guys. They left each other the room they needed. They left each other cars width of space, as now Leon makes a mistake and probably gives up that fight with that. And that was brilliant. Just that tiniest of margins that Schultz needed on the inside, and he went for it, and he got the space from Leon. That was great racing, and Nino is now going to get into the top 3 positions, and past he goes, and into P3, past the Renault of Miku, and Miku is down to 4th now, and I think 4th would be the best he could do in this race. 4 seconds now in between Nino and Gelato. The question is, can he catch up, and can he get past?
I don't want to give too much away. I've had a quick look in regards to penalties. The only thing I want to mention in regards to it is that credit to Miku, he's not actually even had a warning yet. So he's one person who I don't think we're going to be seeing with any penalties. So if anyone can take advantage at the end, it could be Miku.
Oh, and it's Schultz and Leon once again, and now they've made contact, and both are off the track, and both have lost loads of positions. Cortez has gone past, Ghost has gone past Schultz, and now might go past Leon as well. But there goes Schultz once again. He tries to get back past down the inside now into turn 6, and that is a very good move indeed. It looks like they give each other the room they need once again, and now Schultz is back past, and he's putting up some great overtakes. Leon has got the inside line against Ghost now. Ghost is trying to hold it around the outside though, but he can't make it work. And I wonder what happened there. I just saw the positions switching around once again. I thought Schultz had it in the bag ahead of Leon after Leon made that mistake, but suddenly they were side by side, and suddenly both were off the track, so I guess they made contact.
Well, they were playing with fine margins previously in their battle. Maybe they just ran out of a bit of space there, and there was some contact between the pair of them. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to cost either of them. And Ghost tried to take advantage, but I think ultimately there just wasn't enough space, and he's better off sticking behind them for now. And to be honest with you, he might be better off sticking behind us anyway, because I don't think this battle's quite over yet. Leon trying to fight back and Schultz into the hairpin, but just about ran out of straight line before he could send one up the inside. And we've got further down, we've got Puma making a move for P10 past Hausman. Puma Hausman, I think, are 2 drivers who perhaps would have hoped for a little bit better from this evening's race.
Yeah, I think so as well. A bit disappointing, quite a quiet race for both of them. So last week, obviously, we had that great work from Hausman, getting the old strategy, pitting on lap, I don't know, 2, 3, or whatever that was, and getting those tyres to work to the end. Then there goes Leon.
Schultz,
maybe back past Schultz.
Schultz had a major moment on traction, and Leon goes for it around the outside. He's going to be, I think, just slightly run out of room there in a polite sort of way, but Scholl's determined to hang on to his P7, and I have to say this fighting's probably not doing either of them much good in the grand scheme of things, but it's absolutely fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I think that's what we love, and I have the feeling that Schultz is really one of the more difficult drivers to overtake. Not because he's unfair, not at all, just because he's really good at racecraft. He just has so much racecraft, I feel like. He's able to give the drivers the space they need when he's defending, but he's also able to use the space he gets from other drivers when he's trying to overtake. So that is what you need to race other drivers cleanly, to get past other drivers and to, stay in front of them as well. But there goes Leon, maybe now once again in the slipstream. He's barely got any ERS, but it's the same for Schultz. And round the outside, he has a little look. Maybe tries to switch back now, but Leon can't get past just yet. But we still got turn 1 as an opportunity. And I tell you what, 3 laps to go, and it's still 3.8 in between Gelato and Nino as Schultz loses the rear end out of the final corner. And there goes Leon then. He goes on the outside. He doesn't want that inside line, it looks like. And on the outside, he's got quite a lot of room. Maybe he can make that move work once again. But now he's going to get hung out to dry, and there's no space on the inside whatsoever. And he has to back out, and Ghost is just sitting behind, looking at those 2 guys ahead and just waiting for something to happen, waiting for a crash or a mistake from one of those guys. But it seems like they're just a bit too fair and just a bit too racy to actually make a big mistake.
I have to say, fair play to the pair of them here. They're giving each other just enough room, but it's still fantastic to see, and Ghost behind them, hoping maybe to capitalise, and he might not be too off for money there, because we still have got a few laps to go, and you get the feeling into desperation might start to creep in now if you're Leon. You'll want to get past this Ferrari. You've seen Scholes have a few oversteery moments on traction to suggest that perhaps he hasn't quite got a grip you should expect he would have at this stage. So the opportunities is there, but I have to say, actually, if anything, Leon's lost a little bit of time on that occasion. We've got yellow flag in sector 3, and that's because Puma has gone round a long right-hander, so his hope for points has just gone right there. That's a real shame for him, and he's actually retired as well.
I can definitely understand that, if I'm honest, because so close to the end and then spinning around in P10, that's a bit disappointing. But that's how racing is sometimes, and with 2 laps to go, we might not see a change of the lead once again, but we might see a change for P7 once again, as Scholes is just on that line on the inside to give absolutely no possible room on the inside. But there goes Leon, still around the outside, still side by side. That's great stuff once again. And now Schultz tries to make the switchback work, and yeah, he does make the switchback work, or does he? No, not yet. Slight contact. That was more or less inevitable because of the nature of the corner. Oh, and that was a bit too late from Schultz, I think. And that was major contact then. Lucky for Leon not to spin round, but Schultz has got lots of front wing damage now, and he's lost his front right end plate, and that won't help his race at all. He's going to drop behind Ghosts now as well. And I think what caught him out, I think he wanted to make a late switch to the inside, would have been an amazing move, but I think what caught him out was that Leon actually slightly touched the grass and lost a lot of pace then because of that. And that was maybe just that little bit of pace loss that made the difference between contact and no contact.
Yeah, it looks like he was going for a very nice cutback sort of move. We've seen it in real F1 before, but he just maybe slightly misjudged it. Misjudged maybe the speed he thought that Leon would be going at, and that damage is going to cost him majorly as Ghost moves past him into 8th.
Ooh.
He's going back at him, Bo. He's not giving up. He might have damage, but he's certainly not giving up on this. I don't know how he managed to get slowed down, to be completely honest with you. But he's held it into 8th place. He's going to have problems down this next straight, but I have to say, he certainly can't follow Scholes' character in this one.
That is great fighting spirit from the Ferrari driver. Great fight back there into the hairpin. Like you've mentioned, I didn't think he would be able to slow the car down either, but he managed to still be side by side and actually get the place back for another corner. But now he's lost out, and now I think that front wing damage will prevent him from actually getting back past the Williams of Ghosts. And gotta say, it's a bad weekend for our championship leader, Gavin, down in 11th. And he has said he doesn't like the track, but no damage limitation. And where did Schultz come from? Back past Ghosts?
That's just, he won't give it up. I was about to say Nino's potentially got a late chance of passing Lewis on the final lap, but he did make a slight mistake around a double left-hander and I think has cost him a few temps, and that could be the difference down this next straight. I don't think he's going to be close enough. And of course, we're on the final lap now, so this is last opportunity for Nino, and that mistake, just a small one, but it's enough, I think, to have cost him a run at second, and it looks like Gelato is going to take an excellent win here.
Yeah, Gelato comes around the final corner in his AlphaTauri and is going to be our first two-time winner of the season. He wins in China, and that was a great drive. That was a great quali, and Nino does take second across the line on time penalties. Let's see, Miku still in fourth, Matt still in fifth, and that is going to be Cortez in sixth then. And we still got a fight between Scholz and Ghosts, and I have absolutely no idea how Scholz managed that, but fair play to this man. He takes 8th place across the line, and 9th place it is actually on time penalties as Houseman finishes in P8. And what a drive from Scholz as well. What kind of racing that man put onto the track here today. He put up a great show, especially in that fight with Leon, who takes 6th in the end. Gavin actually takes 10th, and one single point to actually do a little bit of damage limitation, and Kev is going to come home and last. He is not having a good streak of results recently, but that was a great fight between Scholz and Leon. That was fantastic, and Scholz, fair play. He had some fighting spirit in this race, and to get back past Ghost then with a lot of front wing damage, that is great.
I mean, we're talking very hypothetically here, but if a championship does come down to 1 point that Miku misses out on, he's going to be cursing Scholz for that defending at the end, because they cost each other so much time, but on penalties, Gavin has sneaked what could be a vital point in the title race.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And yeah, now our streak has ended. We've got now still 9 different winners in 10 races, but yeah, I actually, to be fair, I didn't think Gelato would be our first two-time winner.
No, fair play to him. He absolutely earned that one. He chose a great strategy. It was quite clearly that qualifying on the softs just wasn't the way to go, and he did such a good lap to get into 5th in quali on mediums that he just really worked out well for him. He drove a faultless race. He sort of stayed away from a lot of the action, and that ultimately proved to be what won it for him here tonight. And I have to say, from me, definitely well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And that quali definitely put the start for him, and that was really needed for his race win in the end, ahead of Nino, who takes second from 12th on the great drive from him as well. Lewis in third, and Miku gets crucial points and gains crucial points on his championship rival, and Gavin down in 10th. So that was a weekend Miku needed after he missed last week's round. So he needed to fight back, and that's what he did. He would have loved to be on the podium. He sadly couldn't, but it was close, and he did gain some good points on his championship rival, and he only was 9 points behind, and that gap has come down even more now.
Yeah, he'll only be 2 points behind Gavin now, and it is looking increasingly like it's between those two for the championship. So looking ahead to the final 4 races of the season, this is going to be absolutely massive between Gavin and Miku, and it really could go either way. It's so tough to call.
Yeah, I love commentating on F5. It's always interesting. It's always exciting. And yeah, that's just always great to see. And yeah, that was another really, really good race from my point of view. I don't know what you think about it. Was your drive of the day especially? That is the main question.
That's an excellent question as well. For me personally, I think I'm going to have to give it to Gelato. I thought he just drove a really good race today. I think Scholz deserves a shout out for his incredible defending at times and attacking as well. But ultimately, I think I'm going to give it to Gelato today.
Well, that's a really good call. You can't be wrong with that. You can't really be blamed for that. But I'm going to go with Nino. Very, very good race from him. Started from P12. Just did everything he needed to do. Finished in P2 in the end as well on penalties. Didn't get any pens. And yeah, with a good strategy and very good pace, he finished P2. And maybe if he just would have gained a second here and there, maybe made a couple of less mistakes, maybe a couple of less minor mistakes, He might have won that race, but still a great drive from him and a great effort. So he's my driver of the day. But sadly, I will have to tell you that I don't have time for podium interviews tonight. So we'll have to skip that one
Ah,
for this week.
I may just have sent some out.
You might be able to just quickly get them done, but it's only just going to be a quick question then, because I'll
uh,
have to leave, sadly. But yeah, we've got Nino in, so hopefully drivers will join very
Hello.
shortly. That is, no worry, Jake. I probably should have told you a bit earlier. but
no worries.
yeah, we can just do one or two quick questions, and that will be enough. But we've got Nino in, it looks like. And I think
Lewis is no longer in the lobby, so
all right. So I'm just
Yeah,
going to start
actually.
off with Nino quickly because, like I said, I haven't got much time. So Nino, first of all, congratulations on P2.
Yeah.
Not the best quali session for you. You lagged out, but in
No.
the end, a good recovery
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Lagged out. Not the greatest, and then pretty much on the back foot. Then in quali, couldn't get a lap together on the mediums, which I wanted to start on. So started P12 and just worked my way up from there with a few overtakes, and then just tried to reel everyone in on the mediums, which I think I did pretty well.
Yeah, I gotta say, you are my driver of the day. I just told Jake because starting P12 and finishing P2 was a great job. And
Yeah.
yeah, then once again, another podium after you've already won in Vietnam. And it seems like you're picking up the pace a little bit, or the consistency at least. You've always had the pace, but now four strong results in a row and three podiums within the last four races. And then when we're heading to Bahrain, are you trying to make it 4 out of 5 then?
Uh, yeah, in different leagues I've done pretty well at Bahrain. So Bahrain's a pretty good track for me. So I'm hoping for a win there. I think so. We'll see.
All right, so a lot of confidence then. Good luck for next week.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for the great show you put up and great drive today.
Thank you. Thanks.
So, Jake, that is it then for this week. I'm sorry that we had to cut the podium interviews that short, but that's just how it is sometimes because I gotta leave. But, Jake, once again, thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun commentating with you once again, and I'm hoping to see you next week once again.
absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to Bahrain, and it should be another belting race. It's a shame we've lost that streak of, well, it would have been 10 winners in 10 races, but nevertheless, it was still another crazy, unpredictable race here in F5.
Yeah, maybe at some point in the season we can get a 10th different winner. But anyway, thank you all for joining the stream. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the racing as much as we did. And huge thank you to the drivers as well who've put on a great show today. And yeah, with that being said, make sure to tune in next week again, Monday 7 p.m. UK time, when F5 is back and we are in Bahrain. And until then, goodbye and take care.